Welcome back. Coming up, the royal rift has hit a new low, with Harry and Meghan now accusing the King of deliberately blocking their kids' passport applications. Also, Meghan's released a really weird video today, so I'll show you that. But first, today marks the second day of a new police search for Madeleine McCann. German and Portuguese police forces scoured a derelict barn in a race against time to gather evidence. The prime suspect in the case, Christian Brueckner, is due to be released later this year after serving a 7-year sentence for raping an American tourist in Portugal. Now, police fear that he'll just leg it if they can't charge him with something else in time. But we are joined now from Portugal by our very own GB News national reporter, Charlie Peters, who's not only just been following this, but also has, well, frankly, an astonishing exclusive to bring to us. So, Charlie, I'll throw it over to you.
Well, good evening, Patrick. You join me in Praia de Luz. This is the resort town where Madeleine McCann went missing 18 years ago. But a few miles to the east earlier today, we were watching as German and Portuguese authorities were conducting that second day of searches. They did deploy an excavator, a JCB digger, and also a geoscanner to assess the ground, looking around those dilapidated buildings where the prime suspect, Christian Brueckner, is said to have a connection and where potentially that key forensic evidence could be to finally link him, their prime suspect, to the disappearance and murder of Madeleine McCann. But it was as we were leaving that search area in Italia, a couple miles away from here, that we spoke to a man who came up to us and he wanted to speak to GB News, called Ken Ralphs, who was saying that the German and Portuguese authorities were in completely the wrong area because he had met with that suspect, Christian Brueckner, and a potential alleged accomplice 1 week before Maddie went missing. Here's what he said to us earlier today.
He introduced me to Christian, told me it was his best friend, and we invited him, come and have a drink with me and his accomplice, because I was friendly with his accomplice, who we took food to help him and his children. And then he started to cry and confess that he was going to get involved with Brueckner to take a child from Praia de Luz, which I just thought was, crazy to hear that. And he told me he'd done all the planning, Christian knew what he was doing, and I just said, you want to stay away from these people. Stay the hell out. And he cried that he needed the money to get out of this country with his children and his family, and that's why he was getting involved with Brueckner to steal a child. So Brueckner was coming out with his cronies and they was going to stay at a property and a house in a speech. Now that property is the last place where Brueckner stayed because the person who owned the house went back to Germany, so he was left on his own there with the accomplice who I was camping with. And the bottom line is that's where they need to be searching. For over 18 years, I've pressed the police, I've told them, and all they can do is blame one another for not passing this information on. So that's why I've turned up today, because I am sick to death of it going in one ear and out the other. I'm sick to death of the Portuguese saying the English have not sent us any information, and I'm sick to death of Scotland Yard lying to me.
Now, Ken Ralphs actually became quite emotional as he shared that compelling testimony of his interaction with Christian Brueckner and this alleged accomplice from the week before Madeleine McCann went missing. One of the questions I asked him was, well, why didn't you report what you were told at the time? And he said, well, Algarve in 2007, southern Portugal was full of drifters like Christian Brueckner and many others who said wild things when they were drunk, when they were potentially a bit emotional, potentially under the influence. And he said that in this area, so much crime is reported that to report a pre-crime just wouldn't be worthwhile. But it was an emotional interview, very compelling testimony, especially with recent revelations that have come out about this lone German suspect in this case. And questions to ask for the police here, both in Germany, in Portugal, but also the Met, who did not respond to our request for comment on this issue.
Well, that is all absolutely fascinating. I mean, I was glued to that there, Charlie. The idea that a bloke has just walked up and said he wants to talk, he's sick and tired of not being listened to about this. He says that the last place, that the prime suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, the whole reason why you're there now, the whole reason why German police are there and the world's press are there, is that guy last stayed at a particular property, which is not that property, and he spoke to an alleged accomplice, really. So you've been to the Metropolitan Police, who and other police forces continue to sink, I think, vast sums of money into the continued search for Maddie, and what, they've not got back to you about it?
Well, they've acknowledged the concerns raised, but they didn't have anything to say. And as you say, the Operation Grange, the operation they have to look into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, did receive an extra £108,000 last month. It has received millions of pounds since the operation launched. There were some questions as to why the Met weren't present for this renewed set of searches, the first in over 2 years. But it is a German-led operation. We're also being told yesterday that there wasn't that much interaction between the Portuguese and the German authorities. The question still remains, Patrick, is this an intelligence-led operation? Or is it, as you said before, when you referred to the fact that Christian Brueckner is set to be released in September, a sort of last roll of the dice, a do-or-die desperate attempt to grab some forensic evidence? Because the area they're searching, when we were walking around it today for the best part of 12 hours, it's 21 separate plots of land, and we saw that excavator, the JCB digger, being used quite liberally all over that shrubland, and the geo-scanner being deployed in various different houses. Well, they'll be closing down on Friday, and I suppose we're all just hoping to find out what they might have discovered. Yeah,
look, Charlie, thank you very, very much. Charlie Peters there, who's over in Portugal for us and will be, I imagine, until this particular round of searches wraps up. Charlie Peters, thank you. That is just really quite surprising testimony from a bloke. You would have thought that if he's been telling police, I mean, look, it might come to nothing, you don't know, do you? But it just seemed to be at least a bit of intelligence. If they've not searched that house ever, which he seems to say they haven't, why not? Why not? You're all there. But anyway, welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight. And the Duke and Duchess of Sussex explored changing their family name to Spencer amid fears that the King and the Home Office were deliberately blocking their children's passport applications. Astonishing allegations, this from Harry and Meghan. They applied for new passports using the surname Sussex, but were met with excuses and delays. Anyway, they said they should have got the passport within weeks. A source close to Harry and Meghan told The Guardian, obviously, that the couple believed the applications were being deliberately blocked because the King didn't want Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet to use the royal titles. But after lawyers for the Sussexes sent a letter threatening to pursue a data subject access request, which would have revealed details about this delay, they say they were miraculously issued with a passport. Well, I'm joined now by the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffith. Charlotte, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on. This is a really astonishing allegation by Harry and Meghan.
Yes, and I have to say, the sources close to Harry and Meghan are a little bit confused because they say two things. One, that they think the passport was blocked because of the HRH title, and two, because they were using the name Sussex. But Archie and Lily's surname is Mountbatten-Windsor, so that might have caused a delay in itself because they'd suddenly changed the surname. And second of all, it's my understanding that they applied for this passport before the Queen had died. It wasn't until Charles became king that Archie and Lilibet can use the titles HRH.
Right.
Because you have to be the grandchild of the monarch. So they were applying before they could lose the HRH titles. So that's where the delay came from, in my opinion.
To gratuitously accuse the King of something like this is really, really surprising. But can I just play us a little video of this? Because this was released earlier today, and it's Meghan Markle and as you'll see, Prince Harry, shortly before the birth, I think, of Lilibet, their first child. Let's have a look at this.
When the song come on, let me see you get gone. Baby mama, this shot song been pregnant for way too long. Let's tell the DJ turn it off. Turn it off.
If she a baby mama, she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
She gon' put it on you. She gon' do that baby mama. Drop
it down, drop it down, down low.
Drop
it down, drop it down, down low. Drop it down, down low.
Right.
Oh.
OK, now you've got some views on this about the bump.
Well, actually, you cut it off slightly before the end. It gets more and more kind of raunchy towards the end. She really drops down to the floor. And, I don't know, I've had 3 babies. I could not do that with anyone if I was just about to give birth. I mean, it's an extraordinary, extraordinary jaw-dropping video. I mean, the internet is going insane for it because You know, part of this HRH debate is about the king, you know, them perceiving that the king didn't want to give Archie and Lily an HRH title. Now, there might be some reason why. I mean, maybe the king was worried that videos like this would be embarrassing for the monarchy, and you don't want an HRH growing up with videos like this circulating around them. It's just extraordinary. It's just so undignified for a royal.
People were saying, look, this is a must admit, I'm blissfully unaware of this, but apparently this was a TikTok trend, and that this is the kind of thing that people were doing. But I don't know, I just thought there was something about that video that just looked a little bit strange to me there.
Well, I mean, it's her second birth, but she didn't seem at all anxious about giving birth. I mean, she clearly hadn't had an epidural because she could use her legs and stand up. You're about to find this out when you have a baby soon.
Yes. Hopefully not directly.
They do say you should try and keep it light and keep your sense of humour going as you're giving birth, because the endorphins are good. I just thought there's something doesn't sit right about this video, I've got to say.
But again though, in the pursuit of privacy, they have released a video from one of the most private, intimate things that a couple can go through, which is waiting very, very shortly before the birth of one of your children. You know, to then share all of that out, and also it is, as you said there, you know, quite raunchy dancing as well. It just seem odd for a couple that are obsessed with their privacy.
Totally. The moments before you have a baby, as you're about to find out, you know, a husband and wife, it's like the most private time ever. You know, it's just the two of you battling against this thing that's about to happen, which, by the way, is not very comfortable.
Right.
And it's a really kind of intimate moment. You know, it's kind of nice that they filmed a video, but to release it to the world, having campaigned on their worldwide privacy tour for the last 5 years, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I thought it was AI at first. I could not believe it, and I thought I'd seen it all with these two.
So just to bring us back to where we started with this then, in terms of this passport issue, they say that they went to submit a data subject access request or whatever it is, which I think would reveal all of the discussions between, say, the palace and maybe the Home Office or whoever it is, and that could have been quite embarrassing and incriminating. So they just got the passport. You just don't buy that.
I don't particularly buy it. I mean, they said they had this insufferable 12-week-long wait. Now, at the time, waits were at least 10 weeks anyway because of there'd been COVID, and then everyone was applying for passports after COVID. This was a few years ago, don't forget. Plus, the added complication that they'd put the wrong surname on and the HRH before the kids were entitled to an HRH. So that would have actually caused quite a lot of confusion. The Passport Office probably would have had to write to Buckingham Palace. And Buckingham Palace have denied that they blocked it in any way. They are already...
Well, there was a story, I believe, in your fabulous newspaper over the weekend, which was that, you know, Harry had explored changing his surname to Spencer, and now he's maybe tried to hit back with this. But, Charlotte, thank you very much.